I'm Martin Henry. I'm the Research Coordinator at Education International. We're the International Teachers Union Federation. We represent approximately 32 million teachers, about 170 countries and about 400 members. Assessment has many functions and purposes. There's not just one type of assessment, there's multiple. So there's internal assessment, there's external assessment, there's endpoint qualification type assessment, there's diagnostic assessment, there is interim assessment, there's summative assessment, and there's formative assessment. And I end on formative because formative assessment is always teachers' favourite, because that is the focus that gives you the way to work towards a learning goal. And when students have learning goals, they have a better chance of reaching their potential and being able to grow as both learners and as people. And I think that whatever type of assessment you're using, the goal should always be learning, that it should be a learning focus. And I always go back to a New Zealand term which comes from Māori, who are the indigenous people in New Zealand, and it's called ako. And it is a circular, almost symbiotic process in which teacher and student, educator and learner are in a constant cycle of teaching and learning from and with each other. So it's not a linear process. And I think that assessment should fit into that way of working. It should be something which helps people move to the next level, to get an understanding of where they are, but it shouldn't be a frozen or a constraining thing. It should be something that opens people up. I've worked in two systems. I've spent most of my teaching life working in New Zealand, but I spent a couple of years as a head of English in England, in Leeds. And so I have a sort of bilingual understanding of two curricula. Certainly in terms of the learning compass, it gives a fuller picture of what it is to be a student. And if you take the English curriculum, which is quite atomized, it's very specific, certainly in the English area, about the things you must learn and when. So you've got to learn a semicolon at this age and so on. Whereas the New Zealand curriculum is a much more outcomes focused curriculum. And that curriculum brought in a set of learning competencies. And they were about a bigger picture of what it is to be a student. So participating with others, those sorts of things that actually you also have in the learning framework. I found that working with that curriculum, I went back to a school as a deputy principal in Wainuiomata, and so I actually got that curriculum in my hands and got to teach it to a class. And that class, the way we worked with it, is the students actually took the key competencies and they came up with achievement-based assessment frameworks themselves. So we were working in cooperative learning groups. All of the students were amazing at supporting each other for what they were good at and being honest with each other about what they weren't. But I found it a really useful tool and a really good way of getting the students both in control of their own learning, but also supportive of each other in developing the class climate and the culture of learning that we were trying to establish in the class. And I think that there are opportunities in this work and this way of thinking for us to embrace around the world what we know of each other's systems. And that's something I've really enjoyed about this project, that wherever you go, there are always strengths in what people are doing. So what we've seen here in Korea about their focus around using the key competencies in a way that opens students up to thinking about how they can be more innovative, yet more collaborative at the same time, has been an eye-opener. And that's something certainly, if I was working in England or New Zealand or anywhere else, I would take back and think that's something I can use. So the way I think we should be working globally is supporting each other, sharing ideas in the way that OECD do, in an open, free, open source manner, so that everybody can build on each other and we can lift the education of everybody. We want to make everybody more resilient and we want to make the world a better place.